Diamond solo queue. Get out of here.
Diamond what?
All right, Diamond 3. We can't all be casters, buddy. Some of us got to do real work.
I mean, Freak is around Diamond 3, so.
I know. Ooh, get him. Okay, all right. So, I mean, the headline change, right, is the Juggernaut updates. Like, we have 4. We have Garen, Skarner, Darius, Mordekaiser. We don't have to go super deep into each of them, right? But we do have you here, James, to tell us exactly why you are doing it. So, I guess, I don't know, start us off. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we really wanted to take a look at characters who we feel haven't found their home in League of Legends in a long time, and we kind of like dubbed them the Juggernauts.
Right.
And the Juggernauts, we think, are guys that are like really slow moving, really tanky, do crazy damage if you get near them, or if they get near you somehow. And so we were looking at a bunch of them, and we basically found some pretty cool things that we could add to them to make them much more unique and attractive to a team.
Kiwi, so tell me, how do you feel about these guys? Because we were all in a playtest yesterday. Things got a little out of hand, but give me your preview and how you feel like the Juggernauts might impact the game.
Well, it was pretty interesting playing with like 4 big old meatballs, just like, you know, kind of just crashing into their team. And I played support, and I had, you know, like the 4 Juggernauts scattered across like all the lanes, and I was like, what's the most effective way to like get this to work? And of course, like I think Righteous Glory, anything that speeds up the team. I was playing support Blitz, and you know, any hook was kind of almost devastating because you never really want to be drawn into like a big pack of like burly dudes, and there's like a lot of new items.
I feel like we should change our names from the Juggernauts to the
burly dudes.
No, or burly dudes, but I think meatballs was
the meatballs. Yeah, this is the meatball update.
I think a lot of the problems we ran into before with these guys was they honestly didn't do a whole lot of damage because their damage would just scale off. Like they'd have to just start building like tank items just to survive in a fight because they're not going to get to a target very fast. So they have to like wade through all this AoE damage or whatever else is coming in. And so they would just end up doing like no damage. So a lot of our focus in this updates was like, hey, get these guys to deal damage late game, honestly. Like Garen's spin, like I don't even know, but it seems a little crazy, but we definitely want his spin to just like be really devastating even in the later parts of the game, which is something I don't think has ever really happened in the game. Unless you built like 6 Infinity Edges, but that's like, that's not a real build, is it?
Is Jungle Garen, is that gonna be the new meta?
No. No, he was fun, but I mean, I had a blast playing him, but he's still very mindless, very kiteable. Like that's the big weakness of Juggernauts, right? They're kiteable, but if they reach you, they're going to destroy you. But when they get tools to reach you, then you have a really fun game.
Right.
I definitely want to talk a little bit more on a specific person, Mordekaiser, because this guy just has a mechanic that nobody else has had, the experience splitting, and now we've added more to him.
Yeah.
So Mordekaiser is very scary right now, at least for what I see happening in competitive.
Mordekaiser is very scary. If you take nothing else away from this discussion.
He's extremely scary. His wave clear is really good. He can do all these things in lane that haven't been done before. He can steal a dragon. He can kill the dragon.
Yeah, he enslaves the dragon.
And use it to tank Baron right afterwards. He's incredibly scary, but not just for like competitive. What the normal player sees in that role is usually a ranged archer. So this is a paradigm shift for just a single champion at the moment, where people are gonna be like, all right, if there's a Mordekaiser in my game, I have to play differently as a support, and you played around it as well.
Yeah. Right, I mean, you use the word scary, but I use the word exciting. Yeah. You know, I think the possibilities are open. I mean, we call him dual lane Mord, honestly. That's the thing we more prefer to call him, because he's obviously not gonna be a marksman. He's not gonna shoot at you.
Though if you want to build Bloodthirster on him, follow your dreams. You know, I'm not gonna judge you.
That's pretty much how attached we are to that idea of AD carry bot lane, right? AD carry bot lane, marksman bot lane. Nobody even used marksman as a term.
Right. It's funny. I mean, it's funny you bring it up. It's like we say, oh, I'm a top laner. I'm a mid laner. I'm an AD carry, right? You're like, well, that's kind of limiting, right? But yeah, I mean, it's really something that we haven't seen before, and I kind of want to know how it felt like playing with it, because it's definitely a different thing, and whether or not you have these like giant juggernaut comps or not, it seems like there are going to be a lot of options to where you put your AD carry, especially because we see like Varus and Ezreal like being played in mid lane currently, Kog'Maw as well. Like you have a lot of tower pushing potential.
Well, it was really fun playing with him. It actually reminded me of when I first started, and you know, like you would have dual lanes top and dual lanes bottom. It was so fun. It was just, I remember just like there was no meta because, you know, I was just level 10, played Annie anywhere, or, you know, like played Alistar anywhere. I just had a blast.
So, SKARNER, I did not respect the crystal zones at first, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, this seems like a gimmick. I'm just not gonna capture these things. And then SKARNER wrecked my face off. with, I think it's like 150% attack speed or like something bananas.
We went really hard on making sure that SKARNER was extremely powerful in these zones. The idea being, and they're placed in places hopefully are really relevant, like Dragon, Baron, the buffs.
Yeah, a lot of neutral objectives are around where he is.
Right, and so hopefully, like, honestly, when people realize how strong they are, level 1 gets all crazy because everyone's like rushing to these points, and it kind of feels like old school when we didn't know what we were doing at level 1. It's pretty wild. It's pretty fun, and hopefully that gives everybody a great feeling when SKARNER's in the game. Like, oh god, this guy has a big presence in the game. Like, you can't just ignore him. He's not something that you can just be like, oh, he's just another generic melee guy running at me.
I could tell where he was though. When he was in our jungle and capping them, like, that one's changing.
It gives a lot of vision information for both teams. Both teams get a lot of vision information. I actually don't know how it will play out. It seems really
it seems really like interesting and really cool because there's so many mind games you can play. Like yesterday, I was even thinking about like
the next level Baron bait.
Yeah, like there's a SKARNER point they had captured, and SKARNER was on the other team. So I was like, hey, just don't capture this point. Let's just do Baron. Just stuff like that seems so interesting.
Oh, but that's so risky because if they come to
if he comes,
he's gonna crush
you. Team fight. So it's kind of a gamble.
It's the dumbest smart
there's
idea.
Also exactly.
I know SKARNER players are probably a little nervous about the fact that these crystals now hold so much of his power. Hopefully the recent changes we made, he can actually proc the crystal effect outside of the crystals now. Not all the time, but in certain situations. Hopefully that helps him, still have a place outside of them, especially if he's falling behind or if his team's not helping him capture all the crystals.
So I do want us to get through the item changes because we do have a lot of those that are happening. Specifically, we have 3 new items that have been added. We've kind of been calling them the Juggernaut items because we wanted to ship them together, which is Titanic Hydra, Steric's Gauge, and Deadman's Plate. It was actually on live already, but we just kind of put it on there and didn't really tell anyone about it. We're like,
it came on at like 1 a.m. and I saw somebody buy it in my game. I'm like, what? Is he cheating?
You're like, what? Did I accidentally queue up for Black Market Brawlers? Yeah. But then we also have a lot of normalization of kind of our defensive item system across the board, right? There's a lot of buffs to MR, there's a lot of nerfs to armor, right? So I don't know. Let's talk about that for a sec. How is that going to shake out in terms of how people are going to play?
I think Titanic Hydra is like an excellent alternative. Just an excellent addition in general to the items. Like the build pass for like Renekton, even anybody you want to play tanky top. Lees usually go kind of glass cannon top, but hey, if you like kind of are feeling and you play jungle Lee, you can go top and you can go in that Tiamat tanky into like the Titanic Hydra instead of just automatically revolving around the Ravenous Hydra.
I think overall we're hoping to just increase the diversity of defensive item options in general. Yeah. But our general strategy is one, to make the current, I want to call them just like generically efficient defensive items a little bit more narrow in their power. Like, now Randoms is going to be strong against characters who are critically striking you. Or
yeah, like you build Randoms against an Ezreal, you're probably not going to have a good time because he's probably not critting you all that much. No, but there are some items that we're nerfing this patch that, like Frozen Heart's gold efficiency, like I don't even know how that item's real, right? It's like that item is pretty crazy, and we have these things that in a 6-item build can make like assassins and AD carries feel like I can't ever hit them, I can't do anything, and so it feels like the 6-item of a tank is going down, but you have these items like any of the ones that we're talking about, like kind of the Juggernaut ones, or like Randuin's that can situationally be super good against people, right? So I like it because it seems like a buff to assassins to me.
Also, like the Aegis change, we're taking 5 magic resist off the aura to everybody, and we're taking the health regen off.
Health regen, aura is completely
shifting like all the power into the active, so it's a more interactive item. I think the Aegis is a little cheaper, but like Locket is what I'm talking about. Sorry, Locket.
That item is 1,600 gold now.
Yeah. You guys getting discounts galore. Banner of Command is 250 gold less. You have to steal 1 less kill and you're still good.
Righteous Glory is cheaper too.
The whole kill or assist. Sometimes assists just give you so much, and just that faster lens upgrade can just actually decide the whole game. Like maybe you can need that to turn like a dragon fight. Just everything helps, and we really appreciate it on behalf of supports.
On behalf of supports everywhere. So I think it's important to note, though, that this is not like the AP item refactor, right? Where that was like, we just want to make mages items pretty much better across the board, right? Like Leander's is an option, Rylus is an option. This is, like, it does have nerfs. Like, it is not going to be exactly perfect for you, but if you are these kind of fighter type characters, whether you're diving or you're brawling in the back lines, you have a more complete build that's going to be able to balance that defensive aspect, or is going to be able to balance kind of the offensive aspect with things like Hydra.
Right. Hopefully the overall effect of the defensive item changes is that now you probably have to put a little bit more thought into what you're buying, because it's not just some kind of hopefully mathematical
I have choices.
calculator.
I have choices now.
And hopefully you can specialize against what you think is going to help you win this game rather than every game.
Yeah. Like when I look at Dead Man's Plate, I'm like, oh, it's the selfish Randuin's, right? Because Randuin's Omen has the slow on it, whereas this is like, okay, it only helps me get it.
I want to get into their team, and then you lose the move speed after that. But a lot of those characters, all they want to do is get in the one time, and they don't really care what happens to them afterwards.
But then Randuin's got pushed in a different direction too, where it reduces crit. So now you have more meaningful choices where you have to look at what the other people are building, and it's not just oh, they have AP damage and like physical damage, so I need some MR or I need some armor, right? Yeah. Now it's like, do they have a crit-based champion? Do they have these guys that can get away from me that I need to slow? So I like the fact that I'm getting more choices as this type of player.
So what about the rest of the patch? We have like something like 25 odd champion changes. Anything in there you guys want to talk about?
Lee Sin is somebody that these changes actually make me a better Lee Sin player, and I'm a terrible Lee Sin player because I sit there in the jungle going, okay, Q, 1-2, Q, 1-2, E, 1-2. And then when I get in team fights, I'm just like, hit everything, because I can't manage my energy worth a damn at all. So now I can't insect, so now I just kick the tank back, and now there's more health items and stuff, so that's gonna do more damage if the big fat guy just goes flying into the AD carry. So like, these are fun things for Lee Sin, and I think front-loading it is actually a buff to bad Lee Sin players, but I also think it's a buff to regular Lee Sin players too, and people who have played him a lot.
I think it's more about providing options. At least it feels like there are a lot of times where some of us mortals lack the ability to do the crazy like Giga twist around, kick back your AD carry into the team.
Typhoon kick.
Yeah, the like spinning roundhouse, shenanigans. But there are a lot of times where you'll see like a tanky guy leading the charge, and in my caveman brain, I'm like, oh, I don't even think this is that good, but I want to kick through the whole team because I want to see all the knockups. And now we're living in a world where like the Cho'Gath or the Scion getting bowled through their team actually does a pretty good amount of damage. So
I think the Kassadin change is actually pretty deceptively strong. You read the patch notes, it'll be like 0.1 AP, and
there's a 0.2 extra.
Yeah, just point your ratio on it all the time, and then 0.1 per stack.
You read it and you're like, what? And then you play it and you're like, oh, whoa.
Tell me why no? Are you just sad about Kassadin?
I don't want to retire yet.
That's the Kassadin's gonna force you into.
This champion has always been a problem, and he still can get really out of hand and competitive. And I understand why he's so bad in ranked or normals, but because nobody on your team when you play Kassadin is patient enough for you to grow. It's because people keep fighting, and you don't spike until maybe at least 2 items, and oh no, your team's down already 0-10, and you kind of just get pushed in and lose because you don't really have wave clear. Like, you don't want to plan to lose that early to have to max E, because you usually want to get Q so you can fight your mid laner. But now you don't have wave clear. Now your team's dying and fighting. So yeah, of course the numbers. I feel like the loss rates will be really high, but competitive, even without this Riftwalk change, he was still could be really gruesome if the team knew how to play him well.
But I have to ask the question, why are we doing this now? Everybody knows Worlds is a month and a half away, because these are a lot of changes.
One of our biggest philosophies of working on League of Legends is we want to keep the game fresh. We want to keep the game changing. We want to make sure that everyone still finds the game very exciting to play at all times. Like we've been saying, adaptability is a key skill in being good at League of Legends, and we think that's wholeheartedly true. What it comes down to is we think 2 patches is hopefully enough time for pro players to adjust to the game. And we need to front load these changes now, because if we wait any longer, then we're risking getting even closer to Worlds, 1 patch away, the patch of Worlds. So the idea is hopefully 5.17 and 5.18 will be much more toned down, just reacting, making sure that we tweak everything into the right balance. And 5.16 is our time to really do the final changes, significant changes before Worlds.
I think just increasing diversity of the game and just more viable champions is just really good for the game. And
it's healthy, yeah.
And of course, sure, maybe the next month, and if the next month is kind of like League of Meatballs, then you can just, there's still 2 patches. There's still 2 patches to tone it down. Well, it might not be League of Meatballs, because they might all 4 just be banned every game, which would be pretty funny.
Well, then I get my junglers finally. There's 4 or 5
so you kind of have to
junglers
choose,
if you could change 1 champion into a Juggernaut, next patch, who would it be?
Draven.
What? You can do that. Don't spoil. What?
Wait, can you not imagine like Super Hold Draven like bouncing maces off of people? Is that not?
You know, turn him into melee. He'd just be like.
Yeah, okay. I can